and I do not endorse.
Correct.
But I think that the right thing happening at the right time is also the faith element that I was going to ask you about, and it's a question of whether your faith in music has actually ever been tested over the years.
Absolutely. And I think every artist would have been through the same thing. So we're always our own worst critic. We're constantly, comparing ourselves. And there is, that old quote that I love, comparison is the thief of joy.
Mhm.
But when you're producing art and you are in a workspace and there is people are, I guess, fighting for position and work and all those kind of things. Um, that's just a natural, element of it. So it's yeah, you quite often do question yourself whether you're doing the right things, whether sometimes are you selfish for chasing your dream when you have a family and all those sort of things. So um, yeah, I'm really happy. I'm at a point in I guess my life and my career where my family are a massive part of everything I do. And I like to take them on the road. And my wife was in the studio with me when we recorded the album and all those sort of things. And we work in the business together. So that's really important to me.
I think that balance you just talked about there of or what you mentioned about is it selfish to chase your dreams when you have a family, and it's something that a lot of artists have to deal with. But there's also that element of what you can show your children is possible when you chase your dreams. And I guess for you as as their father, it's saying yes, I can take care of you, but also there is so much in this life that's worth aspiring to and worth chasing.
Yeah, and that you've summed that up really well. I think it's so important to yeah, be strong in your be strong in your values of who you are and who you were, I guess, raised to be. Coming from just a hardworking sort of blue collar family and community, and that's what life was when we were younger was working. I grew up working on a farm and that sort of thing. So I think it's about finding that balance, especially in our industry. We always talk about the difference between Australia and America, and it's a population density thing that makes a lot of American artists be able to play music full time and be recording artists and stuff. Where, and sometimes it's a taboo subject in Australia for people to talk about, but a lot of us have day jobs, and that's what we do, and we make it work. We run our own business so that we can work music in and around it, and yeah, so I think that showing the kids is having a good work ethic in no matter what you do, but also being realistic about, uh, yeah, providing for them and stuff while still being happy.
Yeah, the population density issue is a real one for Australian artists, I think for all different art forms, because it is just the sheer numbers of people aren't enough necessarily to make a full-time living. I talked to Brittany Elise, who's a country pop artist, a little while ago, and she's been spending a lot of time in Nashville, and she said, look, it was just partly a matter of population of the United States is so big that even if you're having a small fraction of that, it's just more people than
Yeah.
Australia. And so I do often look at Australian artists and think, man, that's a lot of hard yakka, to use one of our favorite Australian phrases. But it is, and I think it's the faith and sweat of it, right? You've got to put both in and keep putting them in.
Absolutely, yeah. And the faith element for me comes from believing in whatever you're doing. In particular, when I wrote this song with Gav, and it was actually probably one of the hardest songs to write on the album. I could sit around and write sort of sad, mopey songs all day, but to write a sort of like up tempo, positive, sort of song was that was a challenge, and because you want to be positive throughout the whole song and talk about things that people can relate to. So the faith for me was, yeah, having faith in everything you do, believing in it, and I grew up as an atheist, and I then I met my wife, and she believed in God, but doesn't go to church anymore. And her and I have had many conversations about that. And but you don't have to go to church to have faith or believe. And I found myself kind of listening to her and talking to her about it and saying, well, if you believe in God, I wasn't brought up that way, so I don't understand a lot of it, but I believe in you. So that's yeah, that's how it works for me.
Yeah, and what a lovely way to put it. I think it's also the case with art that everyone who's engaged in a creative activity would feel at a certain point, or perhaps many points in time, that it comes from somewhere else. And so that can be hard to reconcile with atheism, which is basically saying there's nothing else out there. But when your talent comes from the ether, for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
it's helpful to be able to think of what that may be, and whether it's an entity, whether it's a universe, whether it's source, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me as a young, as a young fella, I lost my dad when I was quite young. So I think, I think that was part of sort of those questions that you ask as a child and stuff.